Last time I did a deep dive on one of my favorite movies, Into the Spider-Verse, the response from you guys was amazing. So today, I want to talk about my childhood favorite, the movie that actually changed me. I still remember the first time I watched Kung Fu Panda as a kid. That opening action sequence, I was in absolute awe. Nothing had moved like that on screen before. And Po's journey hit immediately. That feeling of desperately wanting to be part of the thing you love most, convinced you don't belong there. I loved it so much, I became obsessed. 3, 4, 6, 7 watches. If my friends hadn't seen it, I dragged them to a screen. Because even back then, I knew this one was doing something more. It felt deep. It actually shifted something in me. But I wanted to know how it did that, so I rewatched it, read the screenplay, read every piece of analysis I could find on how this movie works. And that is when I realized this film pulls off psychological themes that most adult films can't come close to.
I stayed because I thought if anyone could change me, could make me not me, it was you.
The writers, Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger, open in hand-drawn 2D animation, completely different medium from everything that follows. James Baxter directed this sequence, one of the most celebrated animators in the industry, and the directors said the 2D is deliberate. The 2D world is Po's imagination, weightless, no physics, no ceiling on what he can become. Then he wakes up and the film snaps into 3D, and everything is bound by gravity and consequence. The dream runs warm golds and burning reds, camera low and looking up, treating Po like a monument. Then the floor, browns and greens, camera at eye level, nothing elevated. 2 different animation styles to show 2 different versions of Po's world, the one he lives in his head and the one he actually has to live in. 20 seconds of almost no dialogue, and you already know who he is, what he wants, and how enormous the gap is. A throwing star in the wall, action figures covering every surface, a bedroom that looks like it belongs to someone who has been obsessing over Kung Fu their whole life and hiding it from everyone. Most animated films would just tell you this with a voiceover. This one gives you a throwing star and trusts you to do the math. In under 2 minutes, the screenplay has told you everything it needs to, and the ground is already prepared for what the film is actually about before anyone says a word. And yet the reading most people walk away with misses all of it. So the version most people carry looks like this. Clumsy Panda gets chosen by accident.
The Dragon Warrior!
Everyone thinks it is a disaster. He trains. He wins.
Skadoosh.
Chosen one learns to believe in himself. Follow your dreams. And okay, look, if that is the movie you watched, it is still a good movie. The action sequences alone are some of the best choreography in any animated film ever made. I will die on that hill. The comedy works. Jack Black was genuinely born to voice this character in a way I cannot fully explain, but the moment he says anything, you stop hearing Jack Black and just hear Po.
Po is a lot closer to who I really am. It's a little more personal, and there's nothing to hide behind, so it's a little more vulnerable.
And that is insane when you think about it, because Jack Black is a very distinctive person.
I'm Steve.
But you stop. You just hear Po. So yes, great movie on that level. The believe in yourself reading does not explain why this film keeps landing harder than it should, why rewatches keep paying off. And I think the reason for all of that is that the film is doing something completely different from what people think it is doing. Nobody looks closely enough at the noodle shop.
I was dreaming about, noodles.
Po and his father in the morning. Mr. Ping asks about his dream, and you can see Po on the edge of saying it, wanting to say Kung Fu, wanting to say all of it. And he says he dreamed about noodles. Screenwriters have a word for what this scene is doing: the ghost. It is the lie a character believes about themselves, the thing from their past that quietly shapes every decision they make before the story even starts. Po's ghost is that his authentic self is inherently flawed, that who he actually is, underneath all the hiding, is the problem that needs to be solved. Once you know what to look for, it is everywhere. He hides the thing he loves most to protect the person he loves.
We all have our place in this world. Mine is here, and yours is...
I know, is here.
That is sweet, but it is also a person who has already decided that who he actually is, with all those wants, all those obsessions, all those Kung Fu drawings on his bedroom wall, is wrong. He practices stances at his window alone and yanks the shutters closed the second his neighbor sees him. He has organized his entire life around not getting caught wanting something he believes was never meant for him. Most people who feel like that do not announce it loudly. It just quietly shapes everything they do. Po has organized his entire life around that belief. So when the Jade Palace confirms it, when Shifu throws him across the courtyard, when the five look right through him, when Tigress finds him in the hallway at night and tells him he doesn't belong,
you don't belong in the Jade Palace. You're a disgrace to Kung Fu.
None of that is news to Po. He walked in already knowing. They are just confirming what he already believed about himself. And his response to Tigress is one of the saddest lines in this film.
Big fan.
There is no ego present. He has only ever been a fan. Someone who watches from outside and assumes the inside was never for him. Now, deep in the second act, Shifu has spent months trying to break Po, every session designed as a new reason to quit, and he finally just asks,
"Why didn't you quit? You knew I was trying to get rid of you, yet you stayed."
I stayed because every time you threw a brick at my head or said I smelled, it hurt, but it could never hurt more than it did every day of my life just being me.
He stayed because he thought if anyone could change him, make him not himself, it was Shifu. He is at the Jade Palace to stop being Po. Becoming a warrior was just the exit route. Self-rejection so complete that even Shifu's systematic abuse was preferable to going home. This is what imposter syndrome actually looks like when it goes all the way. The specific version where you are doubting your right to take up space at all. Not whether you are good at something, but whether you should be in the room. Po thinks he is a mistake that somehow ended up in the wrong story. And here is what makes him genuinely fascinating.
But a real warrior never quits.
He understands exactly what Shifu is doing.
But if I didn't know any better, I'd say he was trying to get rid of me.
He reads Crane's discomfort. He knows what his father needs to hear. He cooks for the five after they humiliate him because he understands other people better than he understands himself.
This is really good.
He calculated Shifu's abuse and decided the chance was worth it. That tells you everything. Smart enough to know exactly what he is doing. Broken enough to keep doing it. It builds a second character on the exact same foundation. Same wound, same root. Tai Lung needed the world to tell him he mattered. Po needed to stop believing he didn't. That parallel does not happen by accident. To understand why it lands as hard as it does, you have to understand who Tai Lung actually is. Not just the villain who shows up to fight in the third act, but the person the story has been building toward since the first 10 minutes. Before you understand Tai Lung as a character, the story needs you to be afraid of him. And the way it builds that fear is genuinely one of the most well-constructed villain introductions I have seen in any animated film. A messenger goose gets sent to Chorgom prison to check the security, and what greets him is insane. A prison carved into the heart of a mountain, 1,000 crossbows all aimed at one prisoner. The prisoner shackled and wrapped in armor specifically designed to prevent him from moving his hands. Guards stationed at every possible angle. An entire military operation built around one snow leopard. That containment tells you everything before Tai Lung moves a single muscle. Whatever is in that cell warranted all of this. The scale of the preparation is the threat. Then Zung drops a single feather. The camera holds wide for what follows, worth paying attention to because most action sequences pull in tight to create urgency. This one stays back. Tai Lung expands into the frame instead of being followed by it. The camera not chasing him is the point. He picks the lock with the feather, frees himself in seconds, dismantles 1,000 armed soldiers using his hands and the chains he was just wearing, and their own projectiles. Methodical, unhurried. And then spreads his arms wide on the largest platform, perfectly balanced, looking out over everything he just destroyed with something close to calm. He does not run, he walks out. Power through control, patience, the absence of anger. At his most dangerous, Tai Lung is methodical. That is so much more frightening than anything the film could have had him break. But all that power is sitting on top of something broken. And there is something about Tai Lung that makes him genuinely one of the most interesting villains in any animated film. Big claim, but stay with me. Shifu found Tai Lung abandoned as a cub, raised him, selected him, groomed him, told him from the beginning that the Dragon Warrior title was waiting for him, that all the suffering was building towards something real, that he was different, chosen.
He wanted the Dragon Scroll, but Oogway saw darkness in his heart.
And then, at the moment Oogway denied him the scroll, Shifu went silent. When Oogway said no, Tai Lung turned to Shifu. That was all he needed, one word of defense. One moment where Shifu stepped forward and said, I believe in you. One sentence.
But when Oogway said otherwise, what did you do? Nothing.
You were not meant to be the Dragon War.
Shifu said nothing. His shame was visible. He could not meet Tai Lung's eyes. That silence is what Tai Lung carried to prison for 20 years. Not the denial, the silence. By the time Tai Lung reaches Shifu at the Jade Palace, he is not asking for the scroll anymore.
Tell me how proud you are, Shifu!
Tell me how proud you are, Shifu. Tell me. Tell me. That is not a demand for power. That is a kid who spent his whole life performing for an audience of one and cannot understand why the audience stopped watching. What makes this genuinely devastating is the part that comes after. Shifu eventually does say it. When they confront each other, Shifu finally admits it.
Woman, I've been proud of you. I loved you too much to see what you were becoming, what I was turning you into. I'm sorry.
His pride, his blindness, his love. He actually gets there. He says it.
I don't want your apology. I want my scroll.
He needed that sentence for 20 years. He gets it. Shifu says everything Tai Lung ever trained and bled and burned the valley to hear, and Tai Lung immediately pivots back to the scroll. That is the most revealing beat in the whole film. The apology arrives and he does not know what to do with it, so he defaults to the external thing he has always wanted instead. The wound is so old he cannot receive the cure even when it is handed directly to him. Early in the film, Shifu trains the five. He tells Tigress she lacks ferocity, Monkey lacks speed, Crane lacks height, Viper lacks subtlety. These are the standards. This is what a real Kung Fu master needs. Now watch the prison break. Ferocious, slow-motion attacks on the guards, the kind of precise, controlled violence that stops everyone in the room. Speed-scaling falling rock that defies physics. Vertical leaps that dwarf anything the five can manage. And the psychological subtlety of his taunts before he strikes? He knows exactly where the fear lives in every opponent before the fight even begins. He has every quality Shifu told the five they were missing. Every single one. He trained until his bones cracked. He became everything he was supposed to become. And none of it fixed the wound. Because the wound was never about technique. I find this harder to watch as an adult than as a kid. As a kid, Tai Lung was just the villain. Now he is someone who was told exactly who he was before he had any say in it, and then punished for believing it. Po's father never went silent. That is the entire difference between these two men. Mr. Ping projects and assumes and gets things wrong in his own ways, but when Po comes home broken, his father is just there. No conditions. That small thing is everything. The two of them end up needing the same thing from the world, one demanding it loudly, one convinced he doesn't deserve it at all. The story builds both of them. Before any of that can play out in the same fight, one of them had to actually change. And the story almost doesn't manage it. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this breakdown, please hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton.
Who are you?
Watch how Tai Lung fights. Direct, linear, every strike aimed at maximum force through maximum precision. He never redirects, never softens, never yields. His entire approach requires opponents to respond predictably to superior force. Control is everything. You win by dominating. Any unexpected response breaks the framework. For that approach to meet its limit, the training first had to actually change Po. And honestly, it almost doesn't. Shifu tries everything in the conventional playbook and watches it fail completely. And the problem is specific. Every session demands Po fight against his own nature, suppress his instincts, become a shaped version of something he is not. His body will not receive that instruction. You cannot train someone out of themselves. I am aware that sounds like a fortune cookie, but watch what the film actually does with it. Then Shifu sees Po balanced on a shelf 12 feet off the ground doing a perfect split.
No, I was getting a cookie.
And yet you are 10 feet off the ground and have done a perfect split.
Reaching for a cookie. The camera goes still in that moment. All the earlier training sequences are active, tracking, reframing, keeping pace. Here, everything just watches. That stillness is Shifu's certainty cracking in real time. He has spent months insisting the problem is Po. The cookie shelf tells him something he was not ready to hear.
There are no accidents.
The problem was Shifu demanding Po become something else. And look, this is slightly speculative, right? The film does not have Shifu turn to camera and deliver a speech about where he went wrong. But watch his face in that moment and tell me I am wrong. Something breaks open. He brings out a single dumpling and the real training begins. Shifu stops forcing and starts working with what is actually there. The appetite, the mass, the resilience, the comfort with chaotic movement that comes from someone who spent their whole life hiding rather than performing for anyone. None of those qualities needed to be installed. They were always there. The moment Po stops being forced to fight his own nature, the moment Shifu stops doing to Po externally what Po has been doing to himself internally, he improves almost immediately. Both arcs turn at the same moment, in a kitchen, over a dumpling. That is what the training was building toward.
That the way to get through to you is with this.
What comes next is what it was being built for. The scroll that the whole story has been circling since minute 1.
You will have the one thing that no one else does.
The Dragon Scroll was supposed to be the answer to everything. The ancient secret, protected for generations, handed only to the Dragon Warrior. This is the moment the story promises will fix everything. The answer, the thing that finally makes him enough. The whole second act has been building toward this. The scroll that Tai Lung burned the valley over, that Oogway protected with his life, that Shifu guards like it is the most important object in the world.
It's blank.
Blank. A golden mirror. Just his own face looking back at him. Most stories solve a moment like this by giving the hero something, a power, a skill, a transformation, a revelation about their own hidden greatness. This story solves it by taking something away. The scroll removes the last place Po could have hidden. Po has run out of places to put the hope that something external will fix this.
Oh, come on! Face it, he picked me by accident! Of course I'm not the Dragon Warrior.
His expression in that moment is total collapse. Everything he put himself through, the abuse, the humiliation, the months of staying when any reasonable person would have left. He did all of it because underneath all that self-rejection, there was one belief left, that this moment would finally tell him who he was. It just shows him his face. Tai Lung arrives. The 5 are already defeated. Shifu is down. The valley is about to fall. Po has a blank scroll and nothing else. The answer doesn't come from Oogway, doesn't come from Shifu, doesn't come from the Jade Palace or the sacred peach tree.
You have found a sacred peach tree of heavenly wisdom.
Oh!
Or any of the ancient wisdom that has been circulating through this story for 90 minutes. It comes from his dad making soup. Po goes home in complete despair. And Mr. Ping, not trying to fix anything, just making soup, hands him the thesis of the entire film completely by accident.
The secret ingredient of my secret ingredient soup. Nothing.
Just plain old noodle soup?
To make something special, you just have to believe it's special.
Po looks at the scroll again. Both objects give the same answer. The power comes from what you bring to it. The scroll is blank. The soup has no ingredient. Tai Lung opened the scroll and saw nothing because he had been waiting for it to fill something in him for 20 years.
It's nothing!
It cannot do that. Nothing external can. Po opens it and sees himself. He was never missing anything. He just spent a long time convinced he was. He walks back into the valley. The fight that follows is one of the best choreographed sequences in animation, unqualified. But the real issue got resolved in that noodle shop. Everything after is Po demonstrating it physically. Po walks into that battle with nothing to prove, no image to maintain, no version of himself to perform. He uses a walk. He bounces off his own belly. He weaponizes his weight in ways no trained fighter would think to. The clearest moment is the nerve attack. Tai Lung's technique for shutting opponents down completely. He finds pressure points and hits them with perfect precision, and it immobilizes fighters instantly. It hits Po and does nothing.
Stop it! Oh, I'm gonna pee!
Po absorbs it and giggles. Because his whole approach depends on the other person being afraid to lose. A loose, chaotic opponent who has nothing to prove does not exist in any framework he has trained for. Every exchange between them is basically the whole argument made physical, controlled force against someone who stopped fighting himself. It only works if your opponent cares about losing. Po doesn't. Then Tai Lung lands the insult he has probably been holding since Po walked into the valley.
You're just a big, fat panda.
The big fat panda. And Po claims it.
I'm not a big fat panda. I'm the big fat panda.
That line only works because of everything before it. At the start of this story, that insult was one Po had already aimed at himself before anyone else could get there. He believed it before it was said. He spent everything trying to earn his way out of being the thing everyone could see. Now he owns it. The thing Po spent the whole film trying to escape, his own body, turns out to be the reason he wins. His mass absorbs what breaks everyone else. His appetite drove the training no conventional method could reach. His comfort with chaotic movement made him completely unreadable to a man who spent 20 years preparing for a known opponent. Every quality that made him wrong for the Jade Palace was exactly right for this fight. One move left. The Wuxi fingerhold was introduced on Po's very first day at the Jade Palace. Shifu held Po's finger and told him what happens when he flexes his pinky. Po panicked. He rattled off the move's origins before he could even stop himself. Shifu used that fear deliberately. It set the dynamic. Shifu with all the power, Po with none. The person cowering at the mention of that move on day one is now the one executing it. Think of it less as a martial arts move and more as a test of whether someone can let go. It only works on someone who meets it with blind rage and cannot stop fighting. If an opponent can yield, the hold means nothing. Tai Lung cannot yield. His entire self lives inside the scroll, the title, the approval. He has been holding all of it for 20 years and genuinely cannot let any of it go. He meets it with everything he has. Po releases easily. He already figured this out in a noodle shop 20 minutes ago. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means stopping the fight against who you already are.
Figured it out. Skadoosh.
Which is exactly what the first image in this film was about. The story opens with Po in a dream. A legendary warrior, perfect stance, 1,000 defeated enemies, the Furious Five bowing in reverence. It closes with Po walking out of a cloud of dust. Walk for a helmet, robe torn, breathing hard. He looks like someone who just defeated one of the most dangerous fighters alive using kitchen equipment. He looks exactly like the warrior from the opening dream, and he is wearing a walk. Both of those things are true at the same time. The opening dream was Po imagining someone he is not. The warrior at the end is still himself, still the noodle shop panda, still awkward, still wearing an apron. He just stopped trying to become someone else. He stopped trying to replace himself. That is the whole film.
That's my boy! That big lovely Kung Fu warrior is my son!
Everyone remembers Kung Fu Panda as a movie about believing in yourself. The actual argument is quieter than that. When I started writing this video, I thought I was going to break down the screenplay structure, how cleverly the writers set things up. And there is a lot of that in here because the craft genuinely is extraordinary. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized the reason this film keeps landing for me, the reason I keep coming back to it, the reason I dragged all those people through it. It is not because the structure is clever. It is because Po starts exactly where a lot of people actually start, carrying the exhausting belief that who you actually are is the problem, that the solution is to become someone else, that if you train hard enough, endure enough, earn the right person's approval, you can finally stop being yourself and start being whoever you were supposed to be. The scroll is blank. The soup has no secret ingredient. Po already had everything he needed and spent the whole film convinced he didn't. The story makes this argument through a noodle shop conversation and a walk used as a weapon, and a panda who stops trying to not be himself and wins. That should not work. It is an animated comedy about a clumsy panda fighting a snow leopard. It should not be doing what it is doing. And I remember sitting there as a kid, not knowing any of this, not knowing anything about screenplay structure or why villains fall the way they fall, and just feeling it land. I didn't have the words, but something in it was true in a way that stayed past the week, past the year, past everything else I watched that summer. The secret ingredient is nothing. There is no secret, just you. And if that can live in a DreamWorks animated film from 2008 and still feel true almost 20 years later, I think that tells you everything about why this was never just a kids' movie. It never was.